I was part of the Fiscal Commission. Senator Gregg and I had pushed that starting 5 years ago because we saw that we were headed for a debt threat overhanging this economy that had to be faced up to. We agreed that everything had to be on the table. We agreed that we need fundamental entitlement reform. To my colleagues on the left who resist that, I just say, I don't know any way around it. The harsh reality is, if you look at the demographics, if you look at our budget, we're going to have to deal with the entitlement side of the ledger. That is the biggest part of the federal budget. It didn't used to be. It used to be about a third of federal spending. Now it's 60% and growing. And the demographics are as clear as they can be. So to those friends of mine on the left who say, no, Kent, you got it all wrong. We don't have to touch that. Really? The trustees say we're headed for insolvency. And to my friends on the right who say you don't have to touch revenue, really? Revenue is the lowest it's been in 60 years as a share of national income. That's where it is. It's the lowest it's been. Spending's the highest it's been. To me, it's very clear you've got to work on both sides of this equation. And to those who say that's a job killer, that isn't what the evidence shows. It just isn't. Let me just put up this. This is a look at different top marginal rates and what economic growth has been. This is at the end here is a top marginal rate 28 to 31%. Economic growth during those periods, average employment growth has averaged 1.1%. Where we are now, top rate of 35%, virtually no employment growth. 38.6, which is what we had, a previous top rate, was half of 1%. When we had a top marginal rate of 39.6%, employment growth averaged 2.4%. When we had a top marginal rate of 50%, employment growth averaged 2.1%, and on up from there. So, you know, this idea that the top marginal rate is a jobs killer, there's no evidence in the real world, in the real economy, that that's true. There is no evidence that that is true. So, I don't know. We're in a very stale debate around here between the two parties, to me. Very stale. And it's not going to solve the problem to be stuck with a stale, tired, phony debate. At some point, we got to get real. And getting real means both sides need to get off their fixed position. And the faster it happens, the better.